This is a fascinating little story that has come up by the New York Post on Ghislane Maxwell that I kind of want to relay, and I wanted to take a special time to do a separate video on it. How weird the case of Jeffrey Epstein. How weird he got his cash and what was involved in him getting that cash. How weird his political connections and the people that he knew and the councils to which he was on, but also the number of people that he entertained, be it from the standpoint of entertainment, media, or in the political circus. It's a weird case. Nothing weirder, however, than his death. Epstein was put in prison over basically international pedophilia charges. Now, in being put in our federal prison system, you would think that it will be there to keep him safe, to deliver him the trial, to get him to stand trial. If Epstein is dead and he is on some other reality frame, or for that matter, blinked out of existence entirely, well, then clearly, logically, he can't necessarily stand trial, which means that the job of the jail has to be to keep that person alive and healthy to stand trial. The job failed miserably, or the jail failed miserably in that task. With all of the monies at the discretion of the federal prison system, they let the guy either get suicided or commit suicide. The first time around, Taglioni buried several bodies in his backyard, but slept soundly as a man tried to supposedly murder himself while he slept. On top of that, Epstein gets transferred to a prison cell that is basically supposed to ensure that he stays alive by keeping him on suicide watch. And yet, you had a busted camera pointed in the general direction of the cell. You had two guards that went narcoleptic at the exact same time. You had a medical examiner that, upon first examination, couldn't come away with a clear assessment that this was indeed a suicide. Instead, later, having somebody else say, yes, it's going to be a suicide. With a secondary medical examiner with just as many credentials, if not more so, basically saying this is not a suicide, it has telltale marks of being a homicide, be it the force that was applied in regards to the strangulation. It's weird. You get Ghislane Maxwell. Now, with all of the emphasis that is put on the federal prison system, well, what is the impetus in capturing Ghislane? Well, the impetus is to ensure that she gets from point A to point B safely. Part of that has to do with her being given apparently paper clothing and sheets or no sheets on the mattress in order for her not to be able to offer herself in a similar way that Epstein did. But there's a second part to this. They're shuffling her from cell to cell to ensure that she doesn't get assassinated. Now, think about what that means. Ghislane Maxwell reportedly moved from cell to cell to avoid assassins. The Post already revealed that the 58-year-old British socialite was forced to wear paper clothes and so she couldn't hang herself with the clothes like sheets or like Epstein. Now, insiders have told the Mail that Sunday, the prison officials are so terrified that someone would kill her that they constantly move her around inside the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. She is being moved from cell to cell and sometimes has a cellmate, sometimes not, an insider told the UK paper. Now, the first question you should ask on that is, who will assassinate her? Who do you believe will assassinate her? And why do you think she's going to be assassinated? And does it have anything to do with what she knows and what she could potentially tell about Epstein's dealings and the people to which Epstein was dealing with? Now, part of her legal defense is basically asserting that the deal that Epstein made with Acosta shields her from any prosecution from something that happened back then regarding these cases. And Epstein's case, basically Epstein was able to get safety, shielding his associates that were involved in the commission of the crime against the 30 underage girls. And Ghislaine's lawyers basically asserting, just under this provision alone, I am covered, that you should not be bringing these charges. Who's trying to whack her? And does it in any way have something to do with what she knows? And do you believe that someone might have potentially tried to whack Epstein, which is the reason why in dealing with this particular situation, you take the reality of it so seriously, where you would go through the trouble to shuffle her from cell to cell? Now, this is a reporting on this on an inside source, so you have to take it to some degree with a grain of salt. But it's not necessarily it's saying that they would take all due diligence to ensure that she gets to trial safely. I am utterly fascinated with what she may say, with what may come out of her mouth, if that in some way entails her getting some kind of deal. I would say the deal is worth it to figure out what she knows, considering or providing she knows anything. I'll leave this here. I just thought the story was utterly, entirely fascinating. Like, share, and of course, subscribe. Thanks all.